8 months ago, I've set off around Australia to travel between and document sustainable live-for-free communities. From a young age, I was warned that the interests I loved weren't considered realistic pursuits, because they weren't considered high money earners. I saw many had accepted that sacrificing one's time for a wage was considered the reality, but I saw this as only the reality we had created, and I still viewed time as priceless. I wanted to create locations that functioned through a food and shelter for skills and labour exchange system, where all could come and live for free through all contributing. To my delight, I found there were systems of honest trade that already existed, and which rendered the exchange of money between its civilians unnecessary. Knowing this money-neutral lifestyle should be an option that would provide many the opportunity to live exempt from the pressures of money, I found already functional sustainable communities also provided answers for every problem our current system, based on limitless economic growth, presented to our finite non-renewable resources. With my portrait painting business completely funding my travels, and my mobile home allowing me to live by my minimalist values, I now travel Australia to document and promote sustainable live-for-free communities, where currency is contribution and commitment to living with freedom rather than the illusion of freedom, so that this option would be available to those who would seek it. We are products of our environment, and I go to seek a new reality. Community I've chosen to visit and document, I've chosen Mangrove Yoga Ashram. I've lived here for the past 4 months. By working alongside other volunteers and residents to care for this community, I've been able to live for free through the exchange of skills and labour in return for food and lodging. A community is defined as a body of people who share government, have equal and joint ownership, enjoyment and liability, and more often than not function because they are in agreement with similar principles. While not advertised as a sustainable community, Mangrove is an example of open-to-all, small-scale, simple living that functions through the cooperation and harmony of those that live there. Mangrove is home to permanent residents, yogic studies students, visitors and volunteers like myself, while also serving as a place of personal retreat for members of the public. There is an ever-constant flow of travellers and young people who volunteer at Mangrove to both immerse themselves in a yogic environment and participate in many of the classes that are open to all who stay at Mangrove. Founded 40 years ago, Mangrove Yoga Ashram has been teaching the yogic practices and principles of yoga teacher and guru Swami Satyananda Saraswati, from which Satyananda Yoga derives its name. Mangrove also serves as an academic institute, serving as a place of study for those pursuing the Australian government-accredited Diploma of Satyananda Yoga Training Teaching qualification. I consider the word occupation to simply represent the particular job that is at present being occupied, for each community member partakes in a multitude of immensely beneficial life skills ranging from carpentry to culinary, farming and permaculture. All tasks are performed with a constantly fluctuating conglomerate of different people, the result of this variety of activities, and people being cooperation, contribution, harmony, human equality, all while benefiting the continuance of the community. The community runs on a roster basis, by which everyone, from permanent residents to volunteers, participate in the care of the community. Main shifts include farm, kitchen, housekeeping, and grounds and maintenance. Today, as one witnesses falling food quality standards, more communities are growing their own produce, with 80% of all fresh organic food served at Mangrove coming directly from their own farm and garden. This maintains an extremely high level of health and well-being within the community, whilst also eradicating the other reality of the rising degrees of separation between the consumer and the consumed through big business food chains. Located 20 minutes from the ashram, farm is a regular and sought-after shift, where community members plant, harvest and maintain garden beds before collecting food to be transported directly back to the ashram. The farm flourishes by applying permacultural give-back-what-you-take input-output systems, which are key to correct long-term land use and community outlay, countering our environmental desertification crisis due to present-day misuse of the less than 22% biologically productive land and sea we have left. The kitchen shift is another favourite amongst volunteers due to its amazingly accessible environment and incredible facilities and managing systems. The kitchen offers everybody the opportunity to learn about, work with, and prepare amazing vegetarian meals directly for the community, and allows many to have been present from the harvesting stage to its place on the plate. Housekeeping and grounds and maintenance shifts deal with the general upkeep of the buildings, rooms, and exquisite grounds of the community through humbling jobs that can range from pushing a lawnmower to cleaning a window. As sustainable communities are often in densely rural areas, one is surrounded by nature on a daily basis rather than being separated from it, encouraging a reconnection with the web of life and our interconnected perspective as simply another organism within it. With the crucial interrelated ecological balance and web of life already under devastating threat, with one species dying every 10 minutes, sustainable communities are the people's response, while also countering Western standards of exorbitant luxury due to their unsustainability. In an age of conspicuous overconsumption and image-based status, Mangrove, like other successful sustainable communities, harbour a non-competitive, mutually encouraging environment, dissolving rigid social structures by keeping their numbers small. Just as biological systems can only survive if they are able to interact with their environment, so too are social systems, as social systems shape social behaviours. The small scale of Mangrove as a community and its subsequent harmony and cooperation supports Dunbar's theory that only an average of around 150 people are able to maintain healthy social relationships before human avarice and competition kick in. Through the community's recognition of the immaterial nature of material objects and living with people you consider your family, there is no competition or power play through possessions. This lack of a community consumer culture and Mangrove's subsequent social harmony is testament to social changes rather than technological and economic changes being the key for a sustainable future at this time of crisis. The environment and teachings of Mangrove put a lot of focus on the understanding and union with the self, as yoga is not a religion but a science immediately and intimately connected with the body and mind. The yogic lifestyle builds bridges between the relationship between the physical body and the mind through practical philosophies which aids one's mental harmony, physical health, awareness and clarity of consciousness. Another key contributor to Mangrove's social harmony is one's choice to socialise but also opt out for personal reflection at any given time, as socially sustainable communities prioritise self-growth, health and wholeness, countering inequality between the genders and ages. In summary, in relation to the 4 pillars of sustainability, Mangrove's social sustainability stands at the forefront of its accomplishments as we begin to understand that social advances can transform an unsustainable consumer society into a sustainable conserver society. At present, our pollutants cannot be processed by man or nature at a rate that matches their emissions due to our economically expected rate of consumption, while our lack of bioproductive land and overpopulation continues to strain both our renewable and non-renewable resources, because we have a system with no imposed limits of expansion or consumption. This expansionist worldview is not viable in any sense, as it means our global economy and its growth must compromise already limited and strained ecological reserves as the major ecosystems begin to collapse. It has been the misallocation of resources and money that make current environmentally destructive Western standards of luxury possible, while giving nothing back to the environment to preserve such lifestyles. We know now that by 2050, our annual natural income will have passed its carrying capacity because annual consumption of renewable resources and production of waste have exceeded them, and we will have an unsustainable ecological footprint. We also know now that the current systems in place to eliminate world poverty won't reach fruition before the global economy fails due to exhausted resources, after which poverty will only increase. Currently, the vast majority of product consumed in the West is produced at the expense of a poverty-stricken third world labour force who themselves strive for our standards of luxury in the West. The problem being that we would need the resources of 5 more Earths for the rest of the world to live as the West does. The point being that Western standards of luxury are not sustainable. But what do we do about it? The answer at this dawning of a newly needed conserver society is sustainable communities which act as laboratories for cultivating a true understanding of ourselves and our planet's needs in order for our coexistence. As we dwell on the complete precipice of human consumption and non-renewable resources, sustainable communities continue to pop up the world over. As we now begin to see, we are a species entirely dependent on this interconnected web of ecological relationships, and it is the binding pro-conservation principles of successful sustainable communities that I hope to document and offer as viable options, so that those who may not have particular skills or passions may live for free in an environment that cultivates the best in human nature. I hope you will continue to join me as I travel Australia in my mobile home, documenting live for free sustainable communities as we endeavour to counter ecological bankruptcy. This is a long road for all of us, and there are many communities still to be visited as I go to see what works and what doesn't, before opening many more. But it's also a lifestyle option available now if you seek it.